Welcome to the Leading Edge Podcast with Eric Thompson.
Inspire, perform, profit.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Thank you for tuning in to the Leading Edge Podcast. I am Eric Thompson. This is episode 7, which I have titled The Rebound. And I titled it The Rebound because I'm going to tell you one of the stories of my life where I rebounded. So there have been a few big moments along the way for me where I've had big rebounds. This is going to be one of them. I'm guessing you too also have had some rebounds in your life, or at least the chance to rebound. And there's so much to be learned from that, right? There's so many lessons to take away from that. As painful as it is, as you're like in the middle of the rebound, as you're like falling downward and, hitting the very bottom, as painful as that is, we all rebound, right? We bounce back up. So I'm going to tell you this story, and this is a story about, really it's about being on purpose versus being on accident. And really, I should say that the other way around. It's a story about first being on accident, then being on purpose. It's also a story about getting really clear about what you want and then what happens when you have that clarity. And I guess really this is a story of first getting clear about what you don't want and then turning that into getting clear about what you do want and then what happens from that, all right? And these lessons, I'm going to share this with you. Number one, I think it's an interesting story. And then also, there are lessons for you to take away from this. Hopefully you're going to hear some ways that you can rebound, right? You're going to hear how I rebounded. I hope that you can take my experience and apply it to your life, whatever's happening for you. Even if, you may be wanting to rebound right now, or there'll be a time later on in life where you can apply this, all right? So this worked out well for me. It was painful as it was going on. It worked out well for me in the end, and what I hope is that you can apply this so things work out great for you in the end, all right? So you need to know, for this story, you need to know that my wife, Julie, is amazing, and she is my second wife. And I joke and say that I got it right the second time. All right, so it took me the second time to get it right, and man, did I get it right. She is absolutely incredible, a dream come true. The most amazing woman I could ask for ever to be married to. I got it right the second time. So didn't get it right the first time. So first the story of meeting my first wife. And also out of all respect to her, my first wife, when I say I didn't get it right, it's, really, I own that, right? That I take some responsibility in how things did not work out. She's a great person, really nice person, and it was not meant to be. But how it started was we met right before I graduated college. So I went to the University of Colorado, graduated in 1993. So like a month before graduating is when I met her. And so we ended up dating, of course, and then ended up seriously dating, and then ended up living together. So there we were. This was 3 years after we had met, and I was now 26 years old, and we're living together, and obviously dating because we're living together, right? And so it was one of those things that's like, well, I guess we should get married. That's kind of the thought that was going on in my head, just given my age. I had a real job, and there we were living together, and I was like, well, I guess we should get married. And that's as much thought really as I put into it. And so we got married, and it was fine enough, better early on than it was later. But what became apparent is that we just were not compatible, right? We just weren't compatible. We weren't into the same kind of things. We didn't spend a whole lot of time together, doing anything fun or doing things that Julie and I do now. There weren't like hobbies that we were into doing together. We just weren't together a lot. And so that didn't cause a really great marriage, didn't cause a really awesome relationship, of course. And so we were living in Breckenridge, Colorado at the time. And my first wife moved out. So she said, I think that we kind of need to take a break. And she wanted to move back to Boulder and kind of take a break was how that was framed up kind of in our minds. And And I'm thinking, well, okay, hopefully things can work out. I don't want things to not work out. I hope things work out. We'll go ahead and let her take this break. I'll never forget, I went down to visit the place that she had moved into, and I thought it was going to be just super temporary. And I remember seeing her at this apartment she'd moved into, and it was so clear to me that this was not temporary. Like, she was moved in, right? Like, pictures up on the wall, and the place was fully decorated, this little apartment. And so in my head, I'm like, all right, she's not coming back home. I can see where this is going. This is going to come to an end. So good for us. We ended it on great terms, as good as possible. It was not a nasty divorce at the time at all. It, pretty clean separation. Didn't even have to go to court or anything like that. Feel grateful that we didn't have kids, and so didn't have to put kids through that. So that ended, and man, I'll tell you, I was crushed, right? I was devastated. I was devastated mostly about that my kind of my vision of what a marriage should be, and kind of the vision of my life and being married and having kids. I was devastated that didn't come true. Like, it just felt like such a failure, right? That you grow up thinking, all right, someday I'm going to have a wife, and then I'm going to have kids, and so that dream came crashing down, and I was just devastated about that, right? It just felt like such a failure, felt ashamed in front of my family, felt like I really, really screwed up. And boy, there were many, many nights after that went down, and as it was going down, that I, literally crying myself to sleep at night, just being crushed that this had happened, right? And what that turned into is some light bulbs going off in my head that, I was never really clear about this relationship going into it in the first place. And I was totally on accident with this, never really painted a clear picture of what I wanted this marriage to look like, what I wanted our life to look like in going into the future. Just kind of tripped into this. Again, it was, well, I guess we should get married because we're at that certain age where people get married. And so then what dawned on me is I just got clear about kind of what didn't work in the relationship and how that we were not compatible. So as I mentioned before, what I got clear on is what didn't work. All right, I got clear on what I didn't want. So I was just like, man, well, I'm not doing this again. I'm not doing that again, right? So there was just like this long list of things that I did not want to have happen again. If I were to meet someone again, this is what I don't want. And then it hit me that there would probably be a better way to look at this. Instead of looking at through a negative lens, how about I flip it to a positive lens? And I started getting really focused and really clear on what it is that I would want. What is it that I would want in a wife? What is it that I would want in a marriage? Like, if I could wave my magic wand and like the dream person would come along, what would she be like? And so I started to like make this mental list. I never actually wrote it down. I think it'd be a cooler story if I actually did write it down, but I didn't write it down. It was a mental list, and a super clear mental list about how she would be. I wanted someone super smart, really funny. I wanted someone athletic. I wanted someone who was really into the outdoors, like I am. I wanted someone who really wanted to have a family and who would be a terrific mother and who would be really committed and dedicated. And right, so I just got really, really clear about, all right, this is going to happen for me again. And this is exactly what I want. This is exactly who I want. And I felt so worthy of that. I felt so like deserving of that. I felt so sure that was going to happen. I felt so confident that someone like that would show up in my life. And it was just like such a relief. Like, even though I hadn't met her yet, like, it was just such a relief. There was so much freedom in that. There was so much clarity and confidence in that. Like, my mindset, my mood just totally changed, right? It just, I snapped out of the funk that I was in, and I was just kind of already living from this future place of knowing that it was just going to happen, right? I knew that this kind of person was going to show up in my life. And you know what? Lo and behold, it did. So the story is, there was a woman working for me at the time She was working for me, and she comes into my office one day, and she closes the door, and she says, "Hey, Eric, there's someone who I think that you should meet." Okay, so this woman who was working for me had worked for me for several years, and she watched me go through my divorce and watched me be devastated. Then she watched me also snap out of it. And when she came into my office and closed the door, I wasn't sure what was going to happen. I wasn't sure if she was going to like ask for a raise or she's going to tell me she's quitting or what. I'm like, what's going on? She wants to have this big talk with me. Well, it was just to tell me that she wanted me to meet her friend Julie. So she starts describing her friend Julie to me, and I'm thinking, wow, yes, indeed, I want to meet her. She sounds a lot like this mental list that I've been making about this perfect person. And the funny part about this part of the story is that this woman had arranged, she wanted to arrange this big group date for a bunch of us to go out to dinner together, and Julie and I would be just one of the couples there. And I said, no, I don't want to do a big group date. I said, just give me Julie's phone number. I'm going to call her. I'm going to ask her out. I just want to go out, just the two of us. I don't want to be like under the microscope of 10 other couples watching us on our first date. So called Julie up. We had our first date. We've been together ever since. And yeah, she was a dream come true. And she hit everything on that list. So, and things have absolutely worked out. We have a wonderful family today. So man, I rebounded, right? I rebounded, and I was able to turn being clear on what I didn't want into what I did want. I was able to go from being on accident to on purpose. So no matter what it is going on for you, it could be a personal thing, it could be a business thing. What I want you to know is that we can all rebound, right? You can rebound no matter what situation you're in. You can rebound, and you can turn it into a rebound instead of being, stuck at the low point. You can turn it into a rebound by getting clear on what it is that you want. So just get clear on what it is that you want, and that will take you out of whatever low point that you're in. All right. So one way to get there is like how I did it. You maybe first get clear on what it is that you don't want. Be like, all right, well, this stinks, whatever it is I'm going through right now. This really stinks. Let's get clear on what I'm not going to do again. Let me get clear on what it is that I don't want. Now that I have that clarity, what is it that I want? So get super clear on what it is that you want. You can even do better than I did and write it down. If you were to write down what it is that you want, it's amazing what your brain will do. It's amazing what you will start focusing on. It's amazing what you will start seeking out. It's amazing what you will attract into your life once you have that clarity. It's like you put that clarity out to the universe, right? It's like giving specific instructions out to the universe. It's like giving a recipe out to the universe. It's like, okay, universe, this is exactly what I want. This is what I want to have happen, or this is the kind of person I want in my life. And it's just amazing how it works. It's amazing what will happen when you do that. So I've been able to apply that to future things in my life, just taking that clarity and then watching it go to work, watching it happen. So that's what I want you to do. So that's the story of my rebound. Hopefully someday you'll get to meet Julie. I know a lot of you already know Julie. She's absolutely incredible. And what's cool is I wouldn't have met her, that wouldn't have been created without the first experience, right? So, I have no regrets about my first marriage and how that went, how it ended up. Zero regrets about that because of what it turned into, because of what it became. So you too can take that mindset about any hard thing that's happened in your life. You can turn that into the learning lesson. You can turn that into kind of the trampoline to vault you forward, to take you to a whole new place. Sometimes those hard things have to happen in order for you to have the really great thing in your life. Hey, I hope that this was an inspiring story for you. I hope that you can take some lessons from this. If you want more lessons from me, if you want more coaching from me, if you want some fun things like this, some inspiration like this, be sure to check out our coaching program. It's called The Leading Edge. So you just need to go to jointheleadingedge.com. You can check that out. We've had a lot of people joining here recently. It's really fun to watch that community grow. It's super exciting for me. And it's also exciting that so many of you are tuning in to this podcast. I really, really appreciate it. I hope you have an awesome day, and I hope you have the chance to experience your own rebound. We will talk to you soon.